everyone. I released a video in Russian several days ago, and I thought I would do another video because it's pretty long, almost an hour, the video. So I thought I would do like another one with English translation because I know a couple of you have been asking for the English version of it. It's kind of very, it was a unique, I would say, past life experience, or maybe it's even a parallel life, I'm not sure, because there's like such a mixture of different things in there, like different creatures, different abilities. It was like kind of about animals and very primitive, but then on the other hand, they were very like high, sophisticated beings, and they had like abilities that even, we don't have right now. So again, it was like a mixture of like the times of like Avalon and like Merlin and dragons, and then like, but then again, at the same time, it was very primitive animal culture. Um, so so the main like character, and that's what the client was seeing herself as. She was a shapeshifter. So the main form that she was in was some kind of werewolf, where she was like half wolf, half human, but she was also able to transform into the bird. So the first scene that she was seeing is she was in total darkness. She couldn't see anything. She couldn't hear anything. Like the only thing that she could hear is her own like pulse, and that's pretty much it. And then after like a while, when I asked her to go further into the scene and like feel the space more, she started like seeing herself dragging some creature like by the neck. You know how like you drag kittens, or like you pick them up by the the, I don't know what it's called, but it's like that skin on the back of the neck. So that's what she was grabbing, and like she was pulling this creature behind. That creature was like unconscious, and the creature was covered like in fur, and it was like gray in color, and it had like the body of the wolf, but at the same time it had like human features, like it would be like legs, but then it would be extended into the paws, and it would be like like hands and like fingers, but then there would be claws on the end of the fingers. She also said that it was a male, and it was unconscious. She also said that she knew who it was, and she also said that that being was covered in armor. Like he had dark, it was like black, dark metal armor. She said it was very expensive. It was like some kind of special metals that could withstand dragon's fire. And she said like it had it on the chest, like up to the waist, and then it had it on the legs, like from the knees down to the paws. And she said it had like a flower. It had like a symbol of the flower. It was like a mixture of the flower and a wolf's head. That was kind of like a symbol that she was seeing all over the armor. So then like when she looked around herself, she saw ruins. She saw like some kind of fort that was like, or like not a castle, like a fort, that they used during the wars, and it was like all burned to the ground. It was just like ruins. It was like very dark, very windy, and she said something like a catastrophic event took place in this location. She also said that this fort was near the water, and she could see like the cliffs, like mountain cliffs, further away, like some trees, and there's like either the ocean or some kind of sea right in front of them. She said she was dragging this wolf being away from the water. Then when I asked her to look at her own body, she also said that she was a mixture of the wolf and a human, but she was a female though. So she was wearing like this long white shirt, and she had like a belt. It was more like a tie than a belt, and she had some kind of keys, but they also looked like knives on her waist. She also had like a dragon's claw on her like as a necklace, I guess. And just want to make sure my microphone is fine because I touched it. and and she was wearing the necklace represented power. So she you know, like when she was wearing it, it was giving her like more power, you know, strengths. She said she also had like hands, you know, with the claws. And also she had gray wings. She said they were really, really beautiful. And she said the wings kept appearing and disappearing. So as she was looking at herself, her form, you know, kept like shifting into the human wolf type of being and then into the bird. She said it was like the bird, but then like the body would be with, you know, the wings, but then the body would be like a wolf's body. She said that, you know, she can shape between the forms anytime she wants to. The necklace also was given to her after the fight. That's how she earns the necklace. So then we went into the scene prior to that to see what happened, you know, with that fort and like what kind of event took place there and why she was dragging this being, you know, behind her. So she said that the dragon was attacking them. The dragon was like kind of still halfway in the water, like it didn't fully emerge into the shore, and a lot of them were like lined up across the shore, and they were like concentrating, like, you know, putting a focus of their mind onto the dragon, and that's how they were able to keep the dragon in the water. She said if the dragon came fully out of the water, like onto the shore, she said everything would have been destroyed. So it was a water dragon, she said. So they were basically trying to keep the water in the dragon in the water, so it couldn't, you know, destroy them. She said that they are not using any weapons. It's all mind control, and all of them knew how to do that. So they were just trying to see. So yeah, it was basically mind power. That's how they were, you know, able to control the dragon. She was saying that the dragon was coming onto the shore to lay eggs, like it was laying eggs on the shore, and that's why it was, you know, like it was attacking them, or somehow they were preventing the dragon to come, you know, out of the water. So then the next scene, we went into the, you know, the place where like she lived, and it was some kind of castle that was built in the cliff. She said there were like, sorry, you're probably gonna hear my dog in the background. So she said there are like little rooms, like in the cliffs, and every one of them has like its own room. And in the room there was just a bed there where like they were resting and stuff, and the bed was made out of like the branches, and then on top of them there were feathers, some kind of like bird feathers, to make it more comfortable. She said that they don't kill the birds, that the birds are being brought to them, and we're gonna actually I'm gonna explain more about that, where they don't kill the animals are being brought to them. She also said there's like one big room where all of them gather, and like they spend time together, and there's also fires there. Sometimes they also gather on the cliff, and you know, because they can see like far away and what's happening. So it's kind of like, I guess, when they need to check things out or what's happening around them, they gather like on that cliff. There are about 20 of them living there. So the next scene we went into, she was eating a meal. She was eating a deer. And it was like really pretty as she was describing it. So she was like eating, like, you know, she said there's like warm blood that she could feel, and she was opening like the stomach area of the deer. And she said, like, you know, because it was like fresh, the blood was warm. It was very easy to like rip, you know, the animal apart. And she also said that they don't hunt animals, they don't kill the animals for food. The animals are brought to them as an offering. So the deer or like elk, they would bring their own kind to them as an offering. She said they protect them, you know, in exchange for food. So she said, you know, deer brings deer, elk brings, you know, elk, and so on. She said that, for example, the deer would kill their own kind, and then they would, or some of the deer would volunteer to be, you know, killed, you know, in that offering, because then they will keep themselves protected. So they had some kind of agreement, she said, with all of those animals, where they were bringing them their own kind, you know, as a source for food, as an offering. What else did she say? She said they don't really get involved in the process, you know, how that works. She just said we have an agreement that we're following, and we're just honoring, you know, the agreement that we've made with those animals. She also said that those are not regular animals, they're all shapeshifters, just like them. But the deer is like a more primitive animal compared to like wolves and, you know, bears. Like they're very skillful in those like shape-shifting abilities. She said that they have many enemies, you know, if they are like dragons, monitors, or maybe they're like Komodo dragons. Those are like the big lizards that you normally find in Indonesia that can even like kill a human being. So that's what it kind of like, that's what she described. And also like huge snakes. She said that all of those like reptiles were kind of controlled by the dragons, and they were operating under like dragons command or something. She said, you know, bear like was one of their allies as well, and also tigers. But she said that tigers were, they lived like on the other side of the island, so they were far away from them. So they were like, I guess, on the island surrounded by the water. She said the dragons and the snakes, they live in the water. But she also said that snakes, they can shapeshift into like a crocodile, and when they shapeshift into the crocodile, they form like those kind of like arms slash legs, and they can like you know, pick things up into like their hands or like legs, and they can like hold things. And she said they like throw rocks, and you know, throw rocks at them when that happens. That's how like they attack. And she said when they become those like crocodiles, you know, like throwing the rocks, they become like very powerful and like very destructible, and like very uncontrollable, and you know, very aggressive as well. She actually said that only the animals that live on the shore can shapeshift. So I guess the ones in the water, like dragons, or they don't have the shape-shifting abilities. She also said that the snakes, you know, the reptiles are like very sneaky creatures. And she also said, like, for her, when she shapeshifts, like every time she needs to do that, all she has to do is just think about it, and it just happens. Like, that's kind of the process. It's very, you know, like very simple, very automatic. You know, she just thinks of the form, and then she becomes, you know, that form. in her spare time, she said she was watching the little ones, the wolves. And it's kind of like a daycare for for the wolves, and she would play with them, and like they would goof around and stuff. um, so then, like, the other scene that she went into, they were sitting inside the cave. They were sitting, in the circle. It was like all female wolves, and there's like a lake in front of them that was small, but it was very deep. And she said that was like their source of connecting with the earth. That's They were waiting for some kind of an information as they were sitting there. So then she said that they knew that they were doomed. She knew that their life would be over soon, like their community. And she said there would be battle, and they would all die in the battle. And she said it kind of looked like an earthquake even. And then she also said that this was some kind of experiment, the experiment that didn't really go well. She said that there's not enough land for everyone, there's not enough food for everyone, too many animals populated here, and there's a lot of hunger. Kind of similar what the world is going on, like having right now, right? She said again, like, she had no fear of dying. She said this information was presented to them, and she said there's no fear of dying. And that her life is gonna come to an end soon. Like, it didn't bother her at all. So the next scene that we went to was where she was a bird. She didn't fly, but she was like able to use the wings to kind of like jump onto the clouds. So they were like, playing, I guess, or like just having a good time, where they would jump like from cloud to cloud. They would like kind of float with the cloud, and then she said they would come through the cloud, and then they would kind of land on the earth. And she said they were all wet because you get wet going through the clouds. So that was kind of their fun times. And again, the wings were used to like land and stuff. And then the very last scene, the last day of the life there, she said that there are like rocks falling everywhere, like it was like so much dust, and it was so loud. And she could see how like one of the cliffs literally just kind of collapsed, and she was trapped under the rocks, and all of them were trapped under those rocks. She said she tried to like control one of those rocks, to prevent it from falling on her. Like, she tried to concentrate on the rock, put her mind onto the rock, and like stop it from falling, the same way they were doing it with the dragon before, where they were preventing the dragon from like coming out of the water. But she said she wasn't successful, so like the rocks kept falling, and like this big rock fell on her, and like boulder, I guess, and it kind of like just crashed, and like crushed her skull, I guess. When I asked her how old she was, or how old like normally they would live, she said that the max was like 20 years or no, she said she was in her 20s in human years, as nobody lived more than that. But then she said in the wolf years, they would live up to like 30 years old, and she was 10 years old when like she died. So they was like a different age, I guess, depending on what form they were taken. So that's all I have from that session. And hopefully, I don't know if any of you heard anything similar before, or if it triggers some kind of like knowledge or remembrance, or like memories, or if you've heard anything about it. I'm kind of curious, to know more, because again, it was such a different like mixture of things, and I guess like creatures and beings and abilities, and like the times. It's like very hard to even like say, okay, what type of what was that, you know, where were we? So yeah, if any of you have heard anything like that before, please, you know, comment. I would love to know more about it, because we were, you know, like the client and I were both curious about it, and we were like, what was that when she came out of it? So yeah, very, very interesting, very interesting mixture, I would say. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, enjoyed listening to this story, I guess, or past life, and yeah, and like I said, please comment if you know anything more about it, or if you've heard anywhere else about it. I wish you all a very beautiful day or evening or night, whatever like part of the world you're in. And yeah, I love you all. Bye.